Now, you got issues with the industry. What's going down with the industry, dog?
The industry is full of a bunch of sucking, dick riding, bending over the desk ass nigga. Straight up like that. Whoever don't like it, bring it, nigga. Bring it. I don't give a fuck. Bring it. Bring it, bitch. They got this new breed of rapper that's paying DJs to play their shit.
Right.
And, you know what I'm saying? They sucking the record label executives, and it's like there's too much of that going on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Let me be me. Let me be the artist that I am and just play my motherfucking music. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Now they want you all up under this, you know, sitting at going to dinner with them and shit like that, and you know, all that favor for a favor shit. I don't get down like that. Look, I give you the music, you give my money.
I get a little uncomfortable. I get uncomfortable. Like he said something to me one time, a long time ago. He told me he'd take me shopping. I looked at him like, what'd you just say? Let me move, man, before I do something. You're gonna make me mess up the wedding.
Oh, that's a nice gesture.
Let me get out. No, dude, you take me. That's what a guy says to.
A lot of the love I had for wanting to be a part of the industry is not there anymore. I don't even associate myself with the industry. You know what I'm saying? I'm not an industry artist. I'm an artist in the industry.
DMX was trying to tell us about Diddy for a long time. Most folks didn't listen, but 50 Cent was paying attention. DMX wasn't scared to talk about how messed up the music world is. He said it's full of people who'll do anything to get famous. They'll sell out, suck up, or do whatever it takes. He wasn't just talking nonsense. He said he saw evil in the music biz, and that's how he knew God was real. If there wasn't bad stuff, he wouldn't have to fight so hard to stay good. He made it clear he wasn't owned by the industry. He was in it, but didn't belong to it. That's why no one could boss him around. He wouldn't follow their rules. And what happened? They sold a company. They invited me to a house, then sold it. Yeah, I'm mad. I feel betrayed, man, but it's a business, and I'll treat it like one. My music is still my music. If you mess with my music, you mess with my life. You mess with my life, you're gone. Things are changing, man. Yeah, they got a whole new crew now, so I gotta check what's going on. Now, fast forward, and we're hearing dark stuff about Diddy. Stuff worse than we could have imagined. Suddenly what DMX said doesn't sound so wild anymore.
And what did they do? They sold the company. They invited me into a house and they sold it. Yeah, I am mad. You know what I mean? All right, I'm mad. I feel betrayed, man, but you know what I mean? It's a business and I'm gonna carry it like a business. But my music is still my fucking music. And you play on my music, you play on my life. You play on my life, nigga, it's gonna disappear. You know what I mean?
Yeah, things are definitely changing there, man.
So?
Yeah, they got a whole new staff now, so I gotta go in and see what's up, you know what I'm saying?
DMX even said he turned down deals with Diddy because something felt wrong. At first, Diddy didn't want to sign DMX, but when Def Jam was about to give DMX a big deal, Diddy changed his mind and tried to offer double. DMX didn't trust it. He'd heard stories about what went down at Bad Boy Records, about Puff. One thing I respect is he told me to my face what he thought. He said, nah, his voice is too rough. He's not marketable. 3 weeks later, when he heard I was getting signed, he was like, yo, I'll double what they offered. I'm like, if you didn't see my talent before, you're just jumping on now. It's a legendary story. We met with Diddy, but DMX knew he wasn't signing with him. Diddy knew he wouldn't sign DMX either. He thought DMX came with too many problems. They saw my talent, but were like, nah, we don't want the trouble. So I was like, cool, this is perfect.
Respect about Puff, one thing I respect about him is that at least he told me to my face what he felt. He was like, his voice is too rough, he's not marketable. Maybe 3 weeks later, when he found out I was getting signed for Def Jam, he was like, yo, I'll lace your pockets. I'll double what they gave you and lace your pockets. I'm like,
If you didn't know what I was then, you just pretty much jumped on the bandwagon now.
because if you didn't see the beast that I was then, that's I'm like, nah, I'm cool.
So it's a legendary
know.
Some say when DMX talked about Diddy rapping his artists, he meant stealing their money. But now, with all that's coming out, people wonder if he meant exactly what he said. DMX told us about Diddy. He was known for calling out how rotten the industry was. He said they'd rather you be gone than alive because they make more money that way. One thing that stuck with me is DMX saying he never saw Biggie smile until after he died. He said you can see joy in someone's smile or eyes, but he didn't see that in Biggie until he was in his his casket. In that same old interview, he talked about Diddy ripping off his artists and taking their publishing. I never saw Biggie smile until he passed, and a video came out. I was like, whoa, a smile changes your whole face. It's hard to explain what a smile does. You don't just smile with your mouth, you smile with your eyes. A real smile shows even if you cover your mouth. The Lox got signed, but it was a blessing and a curse. They were happy to get signed and wanted the money, but Diddy made them wear suits, act all shiny, write songs for him.
Interview from a long time ago, he talked about how Diddy would rip off his artists and steal their publishing.
I never saw Biggie smile until after he died. And the Hypnotize video came out. Hypnotize. I was like, oh! Like a smile brings a whole other light to your your face. Like, I mean, it's kind of hard to explain. I'm really good at words, but it's hard to explain what a smile does for a person. Because you don't just smile with your mouth. You smile with your eyes. Like, a true smile can be seen even if a person is covering their mouth. Well, Lox got signed before I did. Even though I bought the Lox to our brothers, they got signed. They were a safer group. Puff signed them. And it was a blessing and a curse because they were happy about getting signed first, and they were on the Benjamins and shit was going. But then he made them jiggy and put them in suits and made them write lyrics for him and took all that publishing and like, damn.
And took their publishing. Man, that's rough. And that's not all DMX said. He talked about industry folks taking you to dinner to get your music. You can't tell me DMX wasn't talking about Diddy, cause I instantly thought of when 50 Cent said Diddy asked to take him shopping. DMX even said some artists would sleep with music bosses to get ahead. Now that we know how Diddy worked and messed with people's careers, I bet DMX was talking about him. DMX didn't just call out Diddy. He said new rappers were doing anything to get signed. Stuff that wasn't about music. There were rumors about artists doing favors for label bosses just to get their songs played. Those same rumors were around Diddy, and now it feels like he was grooming people. It's like signing boy bands or girl groups because you like one or two of them and it's just a tax write-off. But really, you're looking for something else. It wasn't about music. It was like, yeah, I can do this. And it got bigger than he expected. Diddy was signing lots of guys. He and R. Kelly figured out if they could get artists away from their parents and alone, they could control them. Once they got you, they had power over you. Like, I got video of you, so what you gonna do now? How can you make another song? DMX had a whole song called The Industry, where he explained how fake and messed up it all was. He said, it's not about talent anymore, it's about playing their game. They control how you dress, act, and talk. If you don't do what they want, you're out. But he refused to be fake. He said, I'm not an industry artist, I'm an artist in the industry. Now in 2025, everything DMX said back then is starting to look true. He warned us about artists selling their souls. He warned us about the vultures. He warned us about Diddy, and he wasn't alone. You're darn right I go to Diddy's parties. That's where people like me step in to get folks out, cause no one's stopping me. Who can they talk to? Who's gonna help? What HR department works for these labels? Have you ever heard of a harassment lawsuit in entertainment? Never. Not in this business. Tupac tried to speak out. You saw what happened to him. They make examples to scare you, to show what they'll do to keep things their way. It's intimidation. You can't go to the cops, they're bought. You could try for a special prosecutor, but they'll pay to move them to another case. Instead of listening to DMX, people made fun of him. They called him crazy, addicted, or washed up. The media trashed him all the time. Even when he died in 2021, they called him troubled instead of giving him respect. Sure, DMX had problems. He struggled with drugs and had some legal issues, but he was never accused of hurting women or kids. He didn't have serious claims of being a predator, unlike some big names in the industry who kept getting richer and more famous. And here's the thing, there's a chance Diddy might walk free. So in week 2 of the trial, jurors heard from 12 witnesses as prosecutors try to prove sex trafficking and racketeering. What do you expect when court starts again tomorrow? It's gonna be wild tomorrow when Diddy's 3rd or 4th assistant takes the stand and actually helps the case. Kid Cudi's testimony last week said Diddy and a buddy bombed his Porsche years ago. You need someone to back that up, cause no one can prove Diddy was there. No one can even say Diddy did it. But if they can show Diddy or his friend did it, you might have a racketeering charge.
Former prosecutor and a criminal defense attorney. David, welcome.
Hey, Mike, good to be here.
So in week 2 of testimony, jurors heard from a dozen witnesses as prosecutors try to prove sex trafficking and racketeering. What are your expectations when court resumes tomorrow?
It's going to be really interesting tomorrow when Diddy's like third or fourth assistant takes a stand, and she's going to actually corroborate Kid Cudi's testimony from last week, where he said that Diddy and another associate of his bombed his Porsche years ago at his house. Now, you have to have corroboration about that, because nobody can put Diddy there. And in fact, nobody even can say Diddy's the actual one who did it. But if they can say that Diddy or an associate of his did it, then you may have a racketeering charge there. Because right now, as it stands, Mike, nothing, and I mean nothing, is sticking to Diddy.
Diddy's lawyers are trying to make the case that his escapades do not amount to federal crimes. How difficult is that argument?
I think they're doing a fantastic job, honestly. Look, everybody has said, and Diddy's lawyers even said it in their opening statement, Diddy is not a good guy. There's a lot of domestic violence that occurred between him and Cassie in their relationship. However, what we've heard so far from the testimony of Cassie and the other individuals does not amount to the federal charges that he's being charged with right now. I'm not going to say anything that we heard is very good, because it's all horrific. However, the state, or the government in this particular instance, needs to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he conspired to racketeer, to sex traffic, and to promote prostitution. So far, they're falling way behind in this. And I know there's a lot more to go in this trial, because they're saying it's going to be about 8 weeks. But the government really better step on the gas, because they don't have a lot more time to go.
So the play seems to be maybe admit to a state crime that avoids prison time. Is that it?
Yeah, I think so. Look, again, you're hearing about all this domestic violence, but all of that has nothing to do with what Diddy is charged with. There's a possibility, and I'm saying a very strong possibility right now, that Diddy could walk, that he could be spending 4th of July at home having a barbecue.
But rapper 50 Cent says he's gonna call President Donald Trump. He wants to stop Trump from pardoning Diddy. This could change everything for Diddy. Trump surprised everyone Friday at a press conference with Elon Musk in the Oval Office. When asked about Diddy's federal trial for racketeering, Trump said he'd consider a pardon if Diddy's found guilty. 50 Cent jumped on Instagram saying he won't let Trump give Diddy a pass. He said Diddy said bad things about Trump. It's not okay. I'm gonna tell him how I feel about this guy, the Enda Club rapper wrote. He posted again, Donald doesn't like disrespect and doesn't forget who goes against him. Earlier, Diddy's former assistant, Capricorn Clark, testified that Diddy complained about 50 Cent after an MTV event. In an elevator, Diddy said, I don't like all this back and forth. I like guns. That got 50 Cent's attention, who was shot 9 times in 2000, and he mocked it on Instagram. Speaking of Capricorn Clark, she shared some crazy stuff. Her big testimony in Diddy's sex trafficking trial was wild. Today, jurors heard from Capricorn Clark, a former employee of Diddy's. She said Diddy kidnapped her and threatened her while she worked for him. Diddy's pleaded not guilty to all charges. NBC News' Chloe Mass is outside the New York courthouse.
It was incredibly riveting. She was emotional just a few moments ago. She actually apologized to the judge for crying so much. This is a woman who was a personal assistant for Combs at one point and then held various roles on and off over the course of 14 years. And she talked about this one moment from December 2011 when she says that Combs was furious when he found out that Cassie had been cheating on him with musician Kid Cudi. Remember, Kid Cudi, whose real name is Scott Mescudi, he testified last week. And so now we're getting a fuller picture of her version of what happened in December 2011 when Combs allegedly broke into Kid Cudi's house after he found out that Cassie and Kid Cudi were having this relationship. And she says that Combs showed up to her apartment early in the morning with a gun and kidnapped her, forced her to go with him to break into Kid Cudi's home. And then she said that she stayed back in the car and she called Cassie and warned her what was going on. She also says that later that morning, she returned to Sean Combs' house after he had her go and get Cassie and bring her to him. She says that that's when she witnessed Combs violently Cassie and her to the point that she fell to the ground in a fetal position and that he continued to all the way from the front threshold of this mansion to the street. And she says that she was so worried for Cassie's life that she actually called her mother, 𝓓𝓲𝓼𝓬𝓵𝓪𝓲, and told her to call 911. But this is slightly different, you guys, than what we heard on the stand from Kid Cudi. Also, when we heard 𝓓𝓲𝓼𝓬𝓵𝓪𝓲 take the stand, we didn't hear about that call from Capricorn Clark. So, it's really interesting for me to sit in this courtroom and you hear little bits and pieces of these alleged events. And so it's going to be really interesting to hear what the jury eventually thinks in a few weeks. And I also want to point out that it looks like the prosecution might actually be running ahead of schedule, and they may only have just about 4 weeks left of their case before they hand it over to the defense.
Gene Deal added more shocking stuff to Clark's story. When Capricorn testified against Diddy on Tuesday, you were there, right? How was it from your view? Man, it was heavy because of all the pain Cassie and Clark went through. Clark didn't even like Cassie much at first, but their friendship grew. She cared more about Diddy. She even wrote him letters saying she had a crush on him, so it was weird hearing her story. I thought, knowing Diddy, he might have slept with her too. I don't know if that's true, but it crossed my mind. People don't get how Diddy would fire her. Then she'd come back or get another job in return. It's like an old saying, the guy with the gold makes the rules. They think it was 5 times they took her to an old warehouse. She was scared and didn't want to go, but she had to. She called out Paul Offord, aka Uncle Paulie, like he was some gangster forcing her, saying she'd be found if she didn't go. Polygraph test about stealing jewelry wasn't clear, so it was just to scare her. The beef between Diddy and 50 Cent goes back almost 20 years. In 2006, 50 Cent dropped a diss track called The Bomb, saying Diddy knew who killed Notorious B.I.G. Since then, many insiders have said the same. I said, yo, Big, someone's gonna try something tonight. Lil Cease, who I hadn't seen all week, said, Gene, chill with that cop stuff. I said, get a GED so they don't cheat you like they're doing your man. I was talking about Biggie cause I read his contract on a plane. Puff gave me a briefcase, went to first class, left me and Coach by the emergency exit. I opened it and read. At the end, Biggie was begging for his publishing and marketing back, but Puff wrote, we'll revisit later. Someone told Puff, Pac's gotta die, Big's gotta die. Shine took the fall, but Pac and Big would have been huge today. You know it. Since then, 50's been roasting Diddy online, especially after Cassie's lawsuit about abuse and wild sex parties. Now 50's making a Netflix documentary about the allegations against Diddy. In court, things got heated. One of Diddy's former assistants, Mia, said Diddy assaulted her sexually from 2009 to 2017 while she worked for him. A former assistant of Diddy's gave emotional testimony today in his racketeering trial. She claimed Diddy assaulted her multiple times. ABC's Rita Roy has the detail. Celebrity stylist and Cassie's friend Deontay Nash walked into a Manhattan courthouse today for more defense questions. He said he saw Cassie bruised and once saw Diddy hit her. He told jurors Cassie said Diddy forced her into unwanted acts with male prostitutes and made her spend nights with him in hotels against her will, like on her 29th birthday when Diddy said, I do all this for you and you can't do this for me? He said Diddy threatened to leak sex tapes of Cassie, saying she didn't want to do it but did it cause Diddy wanted her to. The defense questioned Nash's memory, saying Diddy's control over Cassie's look was a business move, not coercion. Diddy's team admits he was abusive but says it was due to drugs and jealousy, not forcing her into sex. Another assistant, Mia, said Diddy forced himself on her. She said working with him was exciting but toxic, with lots of violence. Diddy's pleaded not guilty, saying all encounters were consensual. Diddy's lawyer, Brian Steele, questioned Mia hard, reading old texts and posts where she seemed friendly with Diddy. Prosecutor Maureen Comey called it humiliating and said it might scare other victims from speaking. Diddy's also charged with tampering with witnesses before his trial under the RICO charge. This happened in his 1999 nightclub case with J-Lo too, where they said Diddy's crew messed with witnesses. Uncle Paulie, Diddy's bodyguard, keeps coming up as a co-conspirator in this trial. Here's Diddy's indictment. It says he's charged with tampering with witnesses, victims, or informants. This is separate from bribing a hotel guard $100,000 to hide a video of him beating Cassie. Another part says when Diddy's rep or freedom was at risk, like in late 2023 after public claims, he and his crew pressured witnesses and victims, even trying to bribe them to stay quiet. They gave false stories to cover Diddy's crimes and recorded some calls. Do you think this will lead anywhere? Let us know in the comments.